Check it out. We got $60. Because of that, that meant that they were willing to pay $250 just to have someone complete this task. So it's really funny when you sell things on Facebook Marketplace and all that, you can have these periods where it's just completely dead for a couple of months. And then today I got a sale on eBay and someone now is wanting to come buy a pair of shoes. And what it is it's like 2 pairs of shoes that are like size 13. So it's really a unique situation to try to find a buyer for that. And a lot of people may not even try to list something like that. I'm gonna get into my shed here. So here's the shed, and what I normally do is put labels on the items. So I gotta find these shoes, and you just gotta look at the labels in the box. Now the thing about the stuff in here is it's completely worthless. Like if someone was to try to come in here and steal all this, they would just completely waste their time. Because these are the kinds of items you just have to sit on them and wait for it to be a match for somebody who actually could use the item. Here it is, size 13 Gatsby shoes, 2 pairs. So I had it ready to sell on eBay, but I also listed it on Facebook. So here we go. So now this guy has my address. I gave him the address and he's on his way. And let me show you what they look like. See, like here's one of the pairs. The other pair looks pretty much just like it. It's just black, but they're like brand new. And I got these for free. Most all of this stuff in here, I'll go do junk removal jobs. And sometimes there'll be, because I offer a handy person service, and sometimes there'll be things that is perfectly fine like this. And it's just, if you take a couple of seconds to get the size and photograph it and list it, these little sales can trickle in and make a significant difference. Enough money that matters. You know, I really don't sell anything less than $50. That's my goal. I mean, sometimes it happens, you price it lower because you just want to get it out. But I've kind of decided that that's the minimum that's worth my time. And it's also a price point that's doable for people. It has to be like an obvious value for someone to take their time to come over and pick it up. So he's on his way and we'll see if he comes and takes them. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I've just been sitting here on my computer. You probably heard that ding. He just texted me saying he's here. So let's go see if we're gonna make the sale.
I've learned to just shut up and let the item do the talking.
All right, so check it out. We got $60. And I didn't know if he was going to get it for a second there because he had kind of a wide foot and the shoes weren't necessarily a wide size. And so if you're listing something like clothing, it can be a real gamble because it just never fails that whatever the situation is, they aren't a match for something about the way it fits or something. So it is kind of a gamble to even do it. But fortunately, this time it worked out. $60. You know, this is like the easiest money way I have ever made money ever, you know, when I make these types of sales. And so it's a really cool situation, but I've learned you can't try to sell it because then you'll just work your way down on price if you're needing the money, right? Now I'm selling it for something that's worth something, right? I can actually pay some bills, get some groceries. It's an amount of money that matters is what I like to say. That's why I have that $50 minimum, because some of these things can get to where they start wasting your time depending upon how it goes. But anyway, it was really cool that it all worked out. $60 and we're doing good. One of the things I learned once I had my own business was the amount of money I could make for my time completely changed. Because in the past, I would make money based on the number of hours something took. But now I was making money based on simply accomplishing something that someone else wanted to have done, and then assigning a value to that also had to make sense. But it also meant it didn't matter how long it took to complete that task. A good example of this is when I got a call to go pick up some boxes from a business and take them to a shredding company. So just pick up some boxes, put it in the truck, take them to a shredding company. This is a good example of the kinds of opportunities you can get just by being a business. So in other words, just because I took a few extra steps to become a business, I am now something that is official, I'm something legitimate, as opposed to just being a random guy off the street. And because I was set up as a business and I was portrayed as a business, that completely changes the way that other people and other businesses view me. Because now they see me as someone that they can take serious, that's going to take their job seriously, that's going to be responsible, that understands them and understands what they're looking for. They don't want drama. They don't want to fool around. They don't want to wonder what's happening. Where are you? In other words, they want to work with someone that they feel is on their same level and that is going to operate and behave as if they are on their same level. Because of that, that meant that they were willing to pay $250 just to have someone complete this task. Now, I can think of a ton of other ways that this job could have been completed way more cheaply. And here's the thing you want to understand. There are people at the company that understand that as well. So it's not a secret. It's not a surprise. They're not stupid. They're not thinking, oh, we don't have any other choice. This just comes down to their standard of quality that they want to be dealing with. So this is the type of thing that would be very easy for someone to get worked up about and say, oh, you're getting ripped off, or you're ripping them off, or they're ripping you off, or, any kind of angle you want to take on it. Once you understand this one thing, it all completely makes sense. So many of these companies are making huge amounts of money. They are very, very successful at what they're doing. And they're so successful at what they're doing, they want to continue to do that. They have really zeroed in on what they do well, and they've built a system around it, and they have turned it into a fine-tuned, oiled machine, and they know that their most valuable use of their time is to keep that fine-tuned, well-oiled machine continuing to work. And along the way, there are going to be a ton of random things that are not their focus. And so they're going to pay someone else to take care of those things so that they don't have to get distracted. They don't have to get their time wasted fooling around with something that is not the best use of their time. So then all of a sudden, it actually makes perfect sense to pay someone else to do a bunch of random stuff that comes up that they don't want to deal with. In my case, this job paid $250. It took about 2 hours. I had about $50 in the shredding expenses. I basically got $200 for a couple hours. That's roughly $100 an hour. And if you want to compare that to, say, the average doctor's appointment, that means I averaged about the same amount of pay as a doctor, and then got to spend the rest of my day off doing whatever I wanted to do. That is why I love the gig life. And not every job is like that, but many, many jobs do work out that way. So anyway, that wraps up today. And if you're interested in living this same type of lifestyle, I'll put a link below to a free series I created that shows how to start a service business that's profitable while also being laid back and relaxed. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me today, and I hope to see you in the next video where I get a phone call from a guy who wanted me to go purchase a vintage film projector on Facebook Marketplace and ship it to him in New Jersey. And the reason why he wanted this is something that you would have never expected. You can click right here to watch that video and see how that all played out.